What's up, everyone? We are back on Patreon, and this week, or this episode, is the Patreon episode for the Dave Mandel Indecision Records podcast. Helping me out today, we got episode 1. You know him, you love him. It's Joe Rivas. Okay.
It's for your new meme. For your new candle.
All right. Also helping out, we got the singer of Palpatine, Daniel Sant.
What's going on?
Yeah. And helping us out again, it is Kim Possible, a.k.a. Kimberly Yount.
What up?
Is that right, Yount?
It's Yount, but Yount is fine. Wrong Yount.
No, Yount. That's way better. That's easier to say, too. Yount. I don't know why that won't fucking stick in my head.
It's cool. People know Robin Yount, so that's how they always say it. It's totally fine.
I don't know who that is, though.
One of the best baseball players of all time. He was a Milwaukee Brewer.
Oh.
Thick mustache.
What?
I used to lie when I was a kid and tell people he was my uncle. He was not my uncle.
That rules. Yeah, well, Goose Gossage is actually my great uncle. But no, that's all for baseball.
You
But,
wish. Then you wouldn't be a Dodger fan. You'd be a Padre fan.
Did he play the Padres at his end of the career? At the end of his career?
Padres and the A's.
Yeah. I just like his
Is
name.
anybody really a Padres fan?
Yes,
I don't think so.
I am.
Dawn.
Yeah. Joe just pissed off like 25% of my listeners. Yes, Joe, there are Padres fans, and they're diehard, badass fans, man.
All the Dodgers fans.
Yeah, lots of Dodgers fans, though.
Well, I like AAA baseball too, so I like the Padres.
Fuck.
Hey.
Yeah, viva los Toros.
I got 2 words to say to you, Joe.
I gotta say that park is absolutely fucking beautiful. Okay, I will give you that.
Oh, Petco
I've
Park
got
is...
2 words to say to you.
Okay.
Tony, win.
He was a great baseball player, and you could go see him by living in San Diego, but they weren't a great team.
Hey, El Cajon Ford couldn't have done it without him.
I did see them a bunch of Jack Murphy too. So
Same.
when they were still playing.
I even had my birthday party there when Beach Boys played after. It was great.
Whoa. Did they put you on the board? Like Happy Birthday, Kim?
No, my parents didn't pay for that. But John Stamos was playing with them, so pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. Shout out Full House.
Like in the video. Yeah.
That's cool. So anyway, this episode was super rad. Dave Mandel was like one of the first people I wanted on the pod. But things get busy, and then like, COVID times are weird because I'm trying to like not travel around, and I was always some of the people that I know really well, I want to do it in person because you have like true banter with them, and so it's like way better. And so like it was kind of a buzzkill to have to do Dave over the phone because I don't know, it's just kind of strange. Like it should have been a face to face, but I hope that he was well represented. I hope people that don't know him got some of his personality, and I hope that it also came through how important he is to like my musical journey. I don't know, because I feel weird talking about my bands on here. Still haven't gotten over that yet, but that is like it's a strange thing to talk about. But Dave really, he enabled me to do, the things I was able to do. Like if he wouldn't have put out the In Control LP, I don't know if I would have found someone else to do it. And then him putting out the LP freed up the money for us to buy the van. So it's like, we needed the LP, we needed the van. They were both like very crucial. And I don't know what we would have done if we only had one or the other, if it would have played out. So if you liked that band at some point, Mandel is like super crucial to the band. And his catalog is insane, and that's what we want to go through today. Now, I shot this question out to you guys on text, so I wouldn't like hit you all blindsided, but if you had to choose a single greatest song that appeared on Indecision Records, what would you guys choose? And let's go to Daniel.
Come back to me because I've got to whittle it down. I've written down like 5.
I thought you were going to go and Be There for Sure. Or Broken
No,
Backs,
it It would be Over My Dead Body, Over My Dead Body if I went that way.
You think the theme song is the best Over My Dead Body song?
Yeah, it's the statement. It's the straight edge statement.
I think
it means
it's top 3. I think Be There is your best song. But hey, what do I know? All right, Joe.
That's because if we're gonna quote you, you like the Pussy songs.
That is true. That is true. Well, I was actually bringing that up today at work because I was actually listening to our God. We'll jump to the future, but the Patreons, they know I record some of this shit in advance. I had the Pacific Northwest playlist on, and Tragedy came on, and Guzman was saying in the shop, he's like, "Man, when this band came out, all the copycat bands were fucking terrible." And I was like, "Yeah, it's because it's so hard to put melody into a song and like do it well, right? Like the bands that like are doing great genres and can like put melody in well, like these are the great songs and the great bands a lot of times." And so like Be There, I mean, that's the song. You guys are like dipping your toes in those melodic waters and fucking knocked it out of the park. So it's like, yeah, that's why it's a great standout song, and yeah, so I like the Pussy songs that are well done. But Joe, what's the best song in Indecision?
I'm just gonna say Nardway.
Hey, that's not the wrong answer. I will tell you that. Kim, what's the best song in Indecision?
Well, I'm going to go with Count Me Out. I'm going to go with What We Built.
Yeah, you can't fuck with that either. All right, Daniel, fess up to it.
I'm also going Count Me Out, and I'm going Best of Me.
Yeah.
Great choice.
Yeah. Well, I'm going with the first song off our... Oh, go ahead, Daniel. Sorry. I
would have gone with Absentee Debate, but it wasn't originally recorded for Indecision, even though it's been put out on Indecision.
I think it counts. So you can go... Well, in true Daniel fashion, we're going to give you 2.
Yeah, I'll go for an original recording, Best of Me, and then for a reissue, Absentee Debate.
And then also, we'll give you a 3rd.
Well, I got to choose title track.
Over My Dead Body theme song. Yeah, and we're choosing Joe's song that comes out in the future on Indecision. Yeah, but so my pick is the first song on this playlist, and that's Holding My Breath by Collateral Damage. I love this fucking song so much.
It's a great song.
Yeah, just the way it comes in. You tell me to hold my breath. And it's just one fucking note. Like, we talk about the glory of like Madball Streets of Hate being like a 1-note riff. Well, here's a 1-note riff, like it's so good, dude. And it's so catchy. And it's like, I don't know. I love his voice.
The way the rhythm section goes along with the 1 note too, like it really plods along in a very good way.
Yeah, agreed. And this song,
this was my first time hearing them, and I loved it.
That's so rad. Yeah, so they do. I think that they only ever did the 7-inch on Indecision. Then they did this comp song, and then they did a 7-inch on New Age. And I hate to lose my Indecision loyalty, but that New Age 7-inch smokes. And I do enjoy the Indecision one, but I love the New Age one, and I love this song. So. But yeah, that's super rad that you like it. I think they're standout, and part of the reason it stands out, Dana, we talked about before the Guilty by Association comp. The first 2 songs on this playlist are from that, and I think these are the standout songs. That this Collateral Damage, Holding My Breath, and then also Redemption 87, About Face.
Yeah, they're the 2 that when you get this comp that you're like, if you hadn't heard of these bands before, you're like, oh shit, I need to check more out. Where some of the others, you're like, oh, that's a cool song, but it's not having you, like, fiending to go, well, back in the day, go to a record store and see what else they have out.
Yeah. Yeah, they just stand out. I mean, it was such a weird time of music that, like, this came out, Like, there's a lot of stuff on there that it just doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't tickle me in the right spot. It doesn't get me. Kim, do you have any opinions on these first 2 tracks, the Redemption 87 and the Collateral Damage?
Well, like I said, I'd never heard of Collateral Damage, and I loved the start of this playlist. I was like, oh shit, why have I not ever listened to this band before? And it's awesome, right up my alley. And then Redemption 87, for me, holds a special place because it makes me think of like RJ and all of my Bay Area friends. So I like hearing Redemption 87. So it was awesome that the first two songs on this playlist were killer. And of course they were, because Indecision is awesome.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I love this Redemption 87 song, and we've talked about it, Daniel, this being like a total standout track on that record. And it also appears on their LP. I think a different version, right?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure either. I would have to look in the. I guess I should have done my
I'm
fucking
sure-
homework. But what are you gonna
I'm
do?
sure they recorded the LP all in one go. It wasn't in different sessions. So
Yeah,
you're probably right.
Yeah, it would just be if like maybe they had the LP recorded and they gave Mandel a song off it.
Yeah.
Joe, what's your opinion on these first two tracks?
Well, the Redemption 80 song, Redemption 87 song, I knew already because I'm familiar with them pretty well. But Collateral Damage, like Kim, I don't recall ever hearing them. But this song fucking rules. That song's fucking great. It just has that. It makes me feel nostalgia for those mid '90s days, because that's what it sounds like. The recording, that's just the texture of the song. So it just makes me think back to those times. So I really liked it, and the Redemption song is fucking great. That breakdown is badass.
Yeah, and the bass intro too is.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Did I miss on the episode with him? Where's Collateral Damage from? Were they from other bands?
They're Orange County, and I think that I don't really know anything about them. I only saw them once at Showcase, but they were just a very regional band. A band that did like I said, the 7-inch on New Age, 7-inch on Indecision. That's like Orange County. They played Orange County, and I think that Dave talked about like the singer like kind of like rotating through a band. So I don't know if like the singer was like he might have been like a bigger scene dude. Do you know, Daniel?
He definitely was known, but my mind is kind of going blank right now. But I think he was from another band where he played an instrument, like a maybe. Oh God, I don't want to just put words in, but maybe like one of the other bands like Triceratops or any of those, like in that kind of scene.
Right.
I think he came from one of those bands, and then this was his project where he wrote the music and the lyrics and put together a band to put it out.
Yeah, super cool. I love it, and you guys should check out both the records. I mean, they're not like a super popular band or anything, so you'd probably find the 7 inches for $5 or less. All right, let's move on. Dave talked about the instant part of the interview was really interesting. He went really into it, and I learned a lot about like that whole experience. Obviously, like putting out your first LP for a band is crazy, and like that time in the mid-late 90s, like it was so important having out a record, but I didn't know how much, like, I don't know, I guess how much like weight that put on his shoulders, that like you're really pushing this band that is like doing this full-time touring. So the song is
he explains that like Tim toured everywhere, was sick of it all, so he kind of had this, I don't know, like aspiration to be on that level. And so anyone that was going to put out the stuff, they were going to tour like crazy, so they would support the label. But what Dave says is that actually, having a band out 10 months out of the year and trying to support them is actually not recouping money. It's actually spending money, tons of it.
Yeah, and it's crazy too, because like he talked about meeting like kind of the band and then Tim separately and then coming together. Like that was really interesting. But also I think it's wild because you're right, Daniel. Tim coming off like being a Sick of It All roadie and just knowing that road life and wanting to do that, it's cool and fortunate for him that he was able to find a band that was down to to hit the pavement that hard.
Yeah.
Pretty wild. But yeah, this is cool. This is Insyn. The song "Tourniquet" is what I chose. And what do you guys think about Insyn? Let's go to Kim first.
Well, I don't know that I've ever listened to Instant on my own.
Okay.
So I would say I didn't love it personally. I love New Jersey and I love New Jersey bands, and this was not it for me.
Yeah. Joe, you're a fan of this band, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so how do you feel about them?
I love them, but I have a different experience than Kim, than any of you guys, really, because I went on tour with them. On the road with them for a long time because because Good Riddance took them out. So
right, Good Riddance did a split. They did they tour right after they did the split 7-inch together? Because there was a Good Riddance Instant split.
They toured before that.
Okay.
So my first shows with Good Riddance, working for Good Riddance, was whatever that the AFI, Sick of It All, Strife, Ensign, and Good Riddance shows. I'm missing somebody else in there, but so we kind of were with them the whole time, and then the whole U.S. and Canada tour with the U.S. was Sick of It All, then Sick of It All and Ensign, and then Canada was just Ensign and us. I don't know. There's a lot of nostalgia thrown back. I would have picked something off the 7-inch personally, because I just think that sounds better than something was up with this recording that didn't sit with me well.
You don't think that this is one of the more classic Instant songs?
It's a great song. It just didn't. The recording, I just wasn't stoked on the recording of this whole record.
Gotcha. Compared
to the 7-inch /CD, and then the CD with the extra song, and then the next record, which Daniel hates because it's on Nitro, but
that's why
I don't hate it.
That's why we love it. That's why we love it. Shout out Noodles.
There we go. We got him in.
Yeah.
Even though it's Dexter's label.
Yeah, but and that's where 15 Years is on. So. But
the song with 15 Years is the one that Lou is on, right?
Yes, and that's on the next record, not on.
Yeah. That song's fucking incredible.
Yeah. But yeah,
I never even heard that record because that's how down for Indecision I am, dude.
This was they had changed guitarists, so John left the band, and they had Mackenzie playing guitar. They
got Murph from Undertow,
and Murph is playing drums on this. Yeah. He was playing drums already in the band, but he didn't record on the 7-inch. So that's I never met that guy.
Yeah,
Murph was always the drummer, as far as I knew. Well, until later, until he quit. But
which is the underlying thing that Dave doesn't really go into. I mean, he goes into it a bit that they were really good friends and he felt let down, but it almost ripped the band apart to do this as well, because Mackenzie and Murph really, as from my memory, wanted to stay with Dave, and the other guys wanted to, really go for that, let's full on go for it. And that's, a little bit behind the scenes of the difficult decision of what they made after this LP,
Patreon's getting that
their
knowledge.
Big choice.
It's their big choice, yeah.
I mean, in a way, right?
Yeah, so what's their Disconnected?
Right?
They didn't
it would probably be Pale Horse.
Yeah, that is their song. Huh? Oh, well, I fucked up with Tourniquet. Anyway, people, this is a song that I liked, and I was never a huge Instant fan. They're a band I would describe as solid. You go see them, they're always solid. Good band, but just never struck me as anything like fantastic.
Yeah, but they were on that 96, 97 thing before, the rest of the Growing Stronger comp, so they were kind of laying some groundwork for, the other bands to take it that next echelon of being even more like aggressive youth crew,
I agree. They just don't have that wildness to the sound. It's just a very like solid, good band sound.
Well, I think they were a lot like Built to Last. Like both bands had quite a similar sound. I feel,
Well, I think they were definitely trying to stick into the follow in the footsteps of what Sick of It All was doing, because they were all, because Tim worked for them, and Jerry was part of their crew too. So, but then like Nate's got a pretty amazing New Jersey hardcore resume too, prior to joining Ensign. So,
true.
He's got a lot. He had a lot to offer when he joined the band.
And he had amazing bass sounds.
Yeah.
Did he play a music band? I don't remember. Do you remember?
Eventually he did. He was. I'm pretty sure he was playing a P bass for a long time, but then I think Chuck convinced them to switch to Music Man.
Like, hey, don't you want to play the heaviest bass ever? Here, try this Music Man. Fender P's the way, but the Music Man is what a great bass. Anyway, so that's Ensign. Solid band and very important to the Indecision story because first LP of a band. We talked about the comp before. That was his first LP, but this is the first one for a band. Now, did you guys like the way that I was able to get to the bottom of the story that Noodles was actually the reason for the late 90s Orange County hardcore explosion?
Yeah, dude, I was cracking up.
Because
I was absolutely loving it because Noodles isn't the owner of Nitro, it's Dexter.
Still.
Yeah, well, Noodles is always going to be the owner of Nitro to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if Dave talks about Ensign leaving the label and that frees up, his time and money, and he's able to put his money behind these local bands. And Adamantium and Throwdown and Death by Stereo, which is the next 3 tracks. Adamantium Within a Dream, Throwdown, No One, and Death by Stereo, No Cuts, No Butts, No Coconuts. And these bands were fucking huge. And, it's like, it was so rad. I was like outside of the scene for sure, but I saw all these bands play Showcase, and it's like, you got these bands on an Orange County label, playing Showcase, which is really close to Orange County in the IE, in Corona, and they're just fucking packing it to the rafters. And it's so cool, like that, local bands just like getting the love like that. And then also being like on a local label it was really rad to watch, even though this was like not my stuff.
Yeah.
Daniel, can you wax on these 3 bands and like this time period?
Absolutely incredible time period. Adamantium had trouble down in San Diego because San Diego kids would not have in Orange County. Still, Monster Crew, Residuals, as well as I think the setup went up to play with Adamantium, and they were at some point on the show, and then they made the setup open like at 7 a.m., like right as doors opened, 7 p.m. I mean, and they came back and were pissed, and then Adamantium came down and played Empire Club, and unbeknownst to me at the time, and also unbeknownst to me knowing it was Dave Mandel's van, somebody from that crew pissed in Mandel's van. And Dave, like, I didn't know Dave that well then, but Dave's like, if I find out who did it, I'm fucking killing them.
So it's been over 20 years. Who did it, Daniel?
I don't know.
Lies. For the Patreons, tell them, dude.
I don't know.
Okay.
I it's best being left in the past. But I will tell you this, that what Dave says, seeing Adamantium at the showcase in the height of their powers was unlike anything. I mean, it was like 400 people rising and falling with each like China beat on the, hitting the China and stuff. Like, it looked like a cult. Do you know what I mean? Like when those breakdowns would kick in and they'd be heavy China, and especially then that was taken by Throwdown and done to the nth degree, to where everyone would like hit when the China would hit, and it looked like a whole showcase theater full of people Sieg Heiling, which they weren't. But if you're going like this to the China, but everyone's doing that arm motion, it looks like Sieg Heiling. It was crazy.
It was a weird aesthetic to see. Like, I wish they would have done jazz hands or something instead.
Yeah. And then Death by Stereo, I think you and him both talk about this, that there's no band that sounds like that now, then, since,
Yeah.
They concocted like the perfect Iron Maiden meets Dead Kennedys meets Adolescence meets, Descendants, almost, like just this amalgam of like melodic and aggressive hardcore that would go off into strange like metal runs and stuff as well, but then be so catchy, and the lyrics are so smart for that band. And I'm not going to keep talking because I'd love to hear what everyone else says, but Throwdown in their prime, I know the primes are thought differently amongst us, but I'm thinking like right after the first LP, right before the second LP, seeing them around that time, like, because we played with them on the East Coast as well, and seeing them at home, like, holy shit, that band had the like hardcore scene in the palm of their hands for a bit,
Yeah, they were a force. It was funny because they played Laser Star once, and they literally changed everything. You know how on the pod I talk about like there's before and after Hate Breed Satisfaction is the Death of Desire? Like, literally no one had ever ninja danced in Oxnard. And then like, some people see like the Throwdown buddies do it, and then like every show thereafter, like there would always be like a couple ninjas. It was like, God damn it, dude. Like fucking Throwdown, like great band, love them, like killer band, but it was just like, we were like the one scene, like the last scene that like didn't have any of that bullshit,
Yeah, I love the way they transitioned from being a joke band when Palpatine played with them back on their demo, when they like would have like a dance team, and the Throwdown dance team were all like 70 to 90 pound dudes, like all like going crazy in the pit, and then they would have dudes like boogie boarding on top of the crowd and stuff like that, way before like other shit happened like that. And then when they started playing out a lot more and getting more popular, they started writing actual fully serious songs, but 90% of them were about straight edge, so I was fucking loving it.
What do you think about these three bands, Joe?
So my notes. I'm just going to read my notes. Adamantium, Within a Dream, metal, great recording for this style of music. Throwdown, no one. Recording is okay, but I dig the song structure. And in one word, China. so Daniel talking about that's perfect. Yeah. I'll talk about Death by Stereo in a second. So I'm going to stick with these two first. Were they big on the East Coast? I mean, I know they were huge in Orange County, but
no, they were huge, like Hellfest style, huge. Like
so they made a relative impact on back east then.
Oh, big impact. Okay. Like they were one of the headliners
because they just completely disappeared So,
Well,
you know.
they went that Ozfest route, like after the album that Zach references, Haymaker. They start going the way more professionally booked tours,
Right, and then they disappear because
yeah,
that's not what they shouldn't be doing that because that's not what they're about. But
they disappear from our purview, but they probably resonate with people who read alternative press or
are they still a band?
Or Decibel. I think they're a band on hiatus at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Adamantium does, I think, one more record, right? And they break up like shortly after. Like they
break up like right when the second LP comes out, and then they wait a while, and then they do a last show at the Showcase, which OMDB got to play.
Yeah, and that last show, the
I
Showcase
tried to
was
figure
crazy.
out. Oh, sorry.
No. I was just gonna say, like, I was there to see Over My Dead Body, support my buddy Daniel.
Hell yeah!
But during Adamantium, the singer called for a circle pit, and it was literally the entire place. Like, that was like, I think later in the Showcase, so it used to be like the 3 different levels, and I think maybe then it was just 2. But like the pit went all the way from the stage like to that back, like, was there like a bar
snack
area?
Bar.
Yeah, snack bar.
Yeah.
It was the biggest, craziest thing I ever seen at Showcase. It was so rad. But Joe, sorry to cut you off, Joe.
No. Because that's important stuff too. So, but I tried to do a band member, like, to figure out who was in what at what time, and all 3 of these bands sort of shared people at one point or another too. So that was confusing as fuck for me. But Death by Stereo, that song. First off, Efren's crazy. His energy is second to none. I think still the last time I saw him was a couple years ago, but he's still nuts. This song is absolutely insane because it doesn't there's no, the structure that it follows is like a bizarre structure. So, and like you mentioned, you get a little bit of everything. You get melody, you get metal, you get hardcore, you get a breakdown, you get a New Kids on the Block chant. I mean, it's just crazy. And they're still a great band. So I'm really glad that these guys, that they made this list.
Yeah, they're an important band. All right. Kim, did you pee in Dave's van?
No, never. No, too much respect for Dave to do that.
Which van was that? I wonder.
Probably
the giant Indecision on the side.
Probably Palpatine. Oh, what van?
No,
I thought you said what band.
Yeah. No. What van?
It was probably the white van before he put Indecision on the side, right? Because if the Indecision logo was on it, then no one would have done that. I would hope. Fucking San Diego, a bunch of savages.
Right.
Yeah, I had to drive down, pick up the van, and then drive to Santa Cruz for Creep Division for their tour. So.
Oh, that's cool.
Well, that one you're talking about with the Indecision on the side, we broke down in Coalinga on the way to Gilman in that van, and we were in that tiny small town. We spent the night in the parking lot, and we all went and got breakfast at like a little diner, and all the locals were like interested in us, and we're like, the van's, it keeps breaking down. We don't know what we're going to do. You know what? We're just going to go for it. And then the news went around the diner. Hey, them boys are going for it. They're really going to go for it. They're going for it all the way to San Francisco.
Them boys in that Powerade van, they're going for it.
Yeah, and we made it.
Well, good for you. The town of Coalinga was behind you.
Yeah. Every time I drive past it, I give it a major shout out.
That rules. Kim, what's your take on these 3 bands?
So first I want to say I love Indecision. I was super pumped to get to talk about Indecision Records. Like, some of my favorite albums are on this label. And then I was listening to the playlist, and obviously Dave talked. He said a lot of things that resonated with me when he was wanting to be involved but couldn't do anything musically, that was me. That's why I got involved booking at the Che with Spencer. Like, I can't play music, but I wanted to be involved. So I loved hearing him talk. I had never listened to Adamantium or Throwdown either.
So rad.
And I texted Daniel this because I started going to shows in '99, a little bit younger, and I texted Daniel because what I remember from coming up at '99 was we don't like those bands in San Diego. So I had never listened to them until this playlist. And Adamantium, I thought, oh, that's pretty good. I have heard stories about like the showcase shows, and it was insane. And I saw Throwdown once, but I didn't like go purposely to see them. So I remember being like, oh, this is Throwdown, all right. But again, this is my first time hearing them. I thought the song was fine. I couldn't say that I was pumped on it and would want to listen to more.
Zach didn't pick a very good one, if I'm being honest.
Well, you can send me another one if you'd like me to check something else out.
Damn.
But Death by Stereo, I feel like is a band that transcends like all different punk kids, especially when I worked at Blues Records and I would see the people that came down the hardcore aisle, since the punk aisle, that's where I was usually stationed and talking to people. And the different types of people that would buy Death by Stereo, you'd have bros, skater bros, regular surf bros, you'd have hardcore kids. It's like Death by Stereo transcended to so many different people. And I always thought that was so cool. I enjoyed seeing them live. I just think Death by Stereo is really a cool band. Like you guys talked about it. Nobody was doing that.
Yeah, and just to say for the people listening to the pod that aren't aware, Lose Records is a record store that's located in the Encinitas neighborhood in San Diego. So it's like a beachy area. And at the time that Kim worked there, it was like one of the greatest, not even greatest record stores. It was like the greatest store. Like they had, Kim, were you there when they had was like the video store there too?
Yep.
Okay, so they had 3 fucking stores in this one little area. So you park in the parking lot. They had like a new music store that they curated fucking amazing. Like they had everything you wanted. Then they had a whole different like room that was used records, which was fucking great. I scored so many things there. Like literally every time I go to San Diego, we stop at Lose. So you go there,
Yep,
and then they had yeah, totally. And then they had a third room that was like DVD and VHS stuff. And like, that's like the prime time for buying that shit. So it's just like, okay, we got to get in the van early because we're going to Lose and like, we're going to spend like 3 fucking hours there, you know, like.
Yeah. I mean, that VHS room, cinema beer tay, cinema beer goggles,
Indecision tape.
Yeah.
Oh, yep.
Yep.
Daniel in a bathtub.
Yep.
That's true. That didn't get talked about.
I know. I was surprised.
I fucked up. Like,
I think I still have the VHS if we all need to watch it.
Yeah, I think
it's unfortunately on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, and that's another thing we need to get into is I was going to do the second one. Because at the time I was like editing like shitty little like MMA videos. Like it used to be a thing back before MMA was popular. Like people would make little highlight videos of your favorite fighter, and like footage was so rare that the people that like curated it, you'd like make a highlight video of a guy, put a song behind it, and then like share it with people on the internet. And that's how people would like get into fighters. And so I was like pretty big into tape editing at one point. And yeah, I was going to make the second Indecision video. But for whatever reason, like I fucked up or I got busy or backed out or whatever. So you can blame me for there not being a second one.
There's still time.
There's still time, 20 years later. But
There's still
the first one was great. What band was it that was singing "Every Rose Has a Thorn"? Do you remember that? It was Throwdown or Adamantium or someone on tour, and they're like singing with like some homeless dude. Like he's playing "Every Rose Has Its Thorn."
it's Adamantium and Death by Stereo together.
Oh yeah, that part I love it so much.
I think.
But yeah, you guys are totally right. I fucked that up because yeah, we should have talked about that. That was actually really cool that he put out that video.
It was, because I feel like not everybody did that, and it was super cool that at least as a punk kid you could find something in the video store that you could take home with you too.
That's true. Yeah, and that does make it palatable because like, you know, maybe you're younger and you can't go to shows, or your folks won't let you, or whatever, or you're shy, you don't know anyone. Like, it is a good way to get to know people in like that pre-YouTube era. But yeah, I fucked that up pretty bad. That should have definitely been on the list.
It makes sense that Dave would do that too, coming from, you know, a skate background and, you know, growing up with Flipside video stuff too. You know, it just makes sense that having a small label, he would try to make something like that happen. So
yeah, I felt like it humanized, like,
yeah,
the bands and the people, because especially like you're saying, you know, I was young and I was like, oh, I'll watch this, and I got to learn some things about bands I would have never gotten to hear before, besides going through and like figuring out who likes who or what's on what's label. And it was pretty awesome to like humanize them as people, not just people in a band.
Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah. Well,
and a puddle of mud sang from a bathtub.
Anyway, God damn it, I fucked up. But Kim, with you saying that so much of your favorite stuff was on Indecision, did I leave anything else out that you wish I put on the playlist?
I mean, yeah.
Well, tell me. I'm curious.
Well, I mean, I feel like it's hard because there's like so many things that you could have put on there from different times. Like, I feel like Kill the Messenger, I liked them. I don't even know if they're on Spotify. I haven't listened to them in forever, but I liked them at the time.
Yeah.
And like you mentioned Creep Division before, like they're not on there.
Yeah. Yeah.
9 Fire.
Eyelid.
Yeah, that Eyelid.
I feel like they have. Yeah.
Did they do 2 LPs?
We go into No Reply, but there's no Suicide File, and you talk about Suicide File with him. I was surprised that you didn't have something on here.
Oh my god, I left Suicide File off.
Yeah.
Holy fuck. Well, why don't we choose a Suicide File song and I'll put it on here?
Just add it. Yeah. Why not?
I mean, it's got to be.
I love the Psalm from the first record.
On Suicide File?
Yeah.
Okay.
The Psalm.
Okay,
S-O-M-M.
Let's put that on.
I love that.
Yeah, and let's talk about Suicide File then. So next up we're going to talk about No Reply and Life's Halt, but let's just talk about No Reply and the Suicide File. Let's lump them together. Of that split series, like obviously the one that resonated the most with me was the No Reply Life's Halt split. These were the two of the bands that were playing like directly in our scene that we were in at the time that were like amazing. The Life's Halt 7-inch is one of my favorite records of all time, and No Reply, I love the 7-inch. Super catchy. They're like one of those bands that you could go see and like basically learn all the words just from seeing them once. So like, I don't know how many times I listened to that record. I may have only listened to that record twice ever in my life, just because like I saw them so many times and it was like, you know, all the words, right? And then like that was the crazy thing about this split was because Life's Halt was so much more interesting to me as a band. Like I would listen to that 7-inch and the demo is just wild, like to even get through. But I love that band. But then No Reply on this split, they fucking came with it, dude. They came with it. Like they might have got Life's Halt, you know?
Oh, they body Life's Halt on that split.
Because of these 2 songs that I chose. Like Dave doing like You Don't Know Shit is like a perfect, or You Don't Know Shit is a perfect fucking No Reply song, right? It's like, it's so real and true and visceral and like straight for your jugular, but still like a tongue in a cheek, you know, like it is something that like this band did perfectly. And then the More Desperate, More Violent, maybe their best song. You know, mid to up tempo banger, like very like oi-ish influence, and just fucking nailing it. You know, hitting a different style than they ever hit before, and just fucking knock it out of the park. So like, yeah, Daniel, I wouldn't say they bodied them, but I think they got it for sure.
Well, I'm going to say that you didn't even put probably my favorite one off the 7/8, SUVFU, which goes to show you can have a totally funny song, but it's actually really saying something at the same time. And that's what No Reply did expertly on all of their stuff.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and let's talk about that. Like him doing like that straightforward approach on this, and then going into Suicide File where he got like a little more, like the lyrics got a tad more poetic sometimes.
Super political. A lot of them are very political.
But yeah, he got more straightforward political, and then also like, I don't know, it just expanded and it worked. You know, like that band just fucking worked. Like they were undeniable. They were great to listen to on record, even better live. And yeah, one of the greatest bands. I can't believe I originally left them off, but luckily they're on here now with the song that Daniel chose. But Kim, how do you feel about No Reply and the Suicide File?
Oh, I think Dave is a great vocalist. So I loved No Reply. And then I remember the first time Suicide File played Che, and it was, I remember coming out of seeing them, I think they only had the demo, and it was 5-6 songs. And as people walked away from them playing, it was like jaws to the floor. Like, holy shit, what did we just witness? It was insane. Like, walked directly to buy a demo and a t-shirt. Like, Suicide File was such an amazing band. Love No Reply, but I feel like Suicide File was like honed in. And when Twilight came out, I remember getting, because I worked at the record store, I got a pre-release of it. So I got it a few weeks early. And I remember just sitting in my car when I was supposed to like drive home after work and just listening to it. And it's not very long, but it's insane. It's I think Suicide File is one of the greatest bands.
Yeah,
2000s.
I 100% agree. Joe, what do you think of these No Reply songs? And then, do you have anything on Suicide File? Sorry,
I don't have anything on Suicide File because that's on me for just not knowing a good band, because you guys are talking them up pretty good. I gotta look into this. Oh man,
Joe, you're gonna fucking love them.
Yeah. I fucking love these fucking No Reply songs.
Yeah.
So, like,
well, let's just say
my wife was like, "What the hell are you doing?" Because I was like, kind of like hitting in my chair. You know, because we're both working from home, so she's in the office and I'm set up on the kitchen table. You know, both of our laptops in separate areas, but like she hears the table wrestling and like the chair moving around. Like, these songs are so good.
Yeah.
Well, Suicide File takes the way Dave sings, makes it a lot more emotional and drawn out and screamy, adding the kind of vibes of Hope Conspiracy, American Nightmare as well. Okay. Kind of that whole thing, and then
I like that.
And then almost a little Modern Life is War-ish, like very epic, buildy songs as well.
Sonically, I would say more Modern Life is War than American Nightmare HopeCon, because they're not metal at all and they're not fast at all. So
yeah, but
you're right.
Yeah,
with the you're right. Those bands get lumped in, but it's because of the seriousness of the band, kind of. And like,
I'm not saying the parts about AN you love.
Yeah.
I'm not saying the parts of AN that you love where he's like, it's really fast and raw and crazy. I'm saying the more the like, tell the boys, I'll be there soon.
Yeah,
like
fair
those
enough.
parts.
Fair enough. Well, that's funny you say that, Daniel, because that is the greatest AN part, I think.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
But I mean, you're right. The reason why I love AN is because his voice is so shredded on that record. I love it. Yeah. I just still I was a late believer of AN. Like I was not an early adopter of the band. But I love them so much because I can't believe that a band that the singer sounds like that got so popular. Like to me that is so awesome and rules because his voice is just so fucking shredded. Like I don't know, I love it. But yeah, Joe, that makes me feel good that you love these No Reply songs and don't sing You Don't Know Shit out loud when your wife's in the room. Things could go wrong. Things could go real wrong.
She'll think I'm singing it to myself. So
True. Little self-reflection.
Yeah.
What to Jesus?
To Jesus. Yeah. So now, Life's Hall can't get bodied when there's a song this good on the record, though. To the Streets is fucking classic Life's Hall. Go ahead, Kim.
Sorry, I just want to say you guys talked about Jared Alexander on the podcast with Dave, and he's in Suicide File or drums for Suicide File.
Right. Yeah. Actually, that's what I was going to bring that up right when you said like people were walking out of the shade with like their jaw dropped, and it's like, well, any band that Jared is playing drums for, that's how you're going to walk out. Especially like here he is in like so he played for a bunch of bands, but like, you know, Death by Stereo is like a crazy sounding band, or you know, whatever the fuck ever. But like Suicide File is just like a meaty mid-tempo to up-tempo band, and it's like to have a drummer that great playing that style, that's where like, I mean, I can't imagine getting to see Black Flag with like Bill Stevenson. You know, like you just don't get to hear like the great bands in these like meaty sounding, the great drummers like in these meaty sounding bands. Like, I don't know, at least in my opinion, like it seems like when someone's so talented, they want to like show off, you know, or they want to play like a crazy style where the drumming's crazy. But here you have like Jared playing like these mid-tempo songs that like, you know, you feel like you could play because you can air drum them. But he's just like,
he's still doing crazy shit though. He
is. He's doing crazy shit, but it's like he's not detracting from like the force of the song. You know,
definitely.
He really knows how to stay in that lane, and that's one of the things that made them that great live band is like you gotta have a good drummer if you're gonna be a good live band, especially if you're gonna play rooms like the Shea Cafe, right? Like nothing's gonna fucking save you. There's no sound man that's gonna save you and that's gonna like mic your snare. You know, you gotta fucking hit it. You know, so yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Kim. But moving on to Life's Halt, like this song is so fucking rad. I love how it just goes fast out of nowhere when it goes to the chorus, and I love this band. I don't know.
You know what? I'm taking back Bodied because you're right. This song is one of the best songs they ever did. And it's amazing. And when they played it live, it was always fucking amazing. Like, I really, yeah. They didn't get bodied, but No Reply gets them on it.
Yeah, I agree. I'll give you that. Yeah, Life's Halt, it's weird, you know, like these years of your life when you're younger, they drag out. And then it's weird looking at things retrospectively, like, oh, like it's so weird. That came out in 98. Like I thought it came out in 99. And it makes so much of a difference, like thinking back on like the chronological nature of things. But like, you know, No Reply was a little earlier. And I don't know, like they got popular, I guess like when What Happens Next kind of adopted them, right, Daniel? Like, and they got kind of like, so they were around Go ahead.
Life's Halt went more national when Bandana Thrash went like big time within punk and hardcore.
Right, but they were like a great band for several years before like this thing happened and they got like sucked up into it. And then unfortunately, I think it's unfortunate almost, like it was cool they had like this level of popularity and people got to love them all over. Like that rules because you want as many people as possible to like this band that is like literally one of the greatest hardcore bands. But it was a little detrimental in the way that like What Happens Next was a fucking gimmick band. Like it was, I mean, they were good. Some of the records are okay or good, but like it was a little LARPy, you know? And like Life's Halt was not LARPy. Like that's just like how they were, you know?
No, the bands that Life's Halt, and we're friends with them as well. That East Coast kind of had the same kind of vibe. Like we're kind of big locally for a while, and then during this whole like extremely thrashy hardcore being very popular was Tear It Up. You know, so Tear It Up got big at the same time Life's Halt did, and it was great for those kind of bands, especially because they always had great messages. You know, to go and get a lot more people on board. But I'll always remember just Life's Halt destroying the PCH on a regular, you know?
That's what I was going to say. That's always, I never got to go to the PCH, but I would hear stories about Life's Halt at PCH and it being insane.
Same with No Reply, to be fair. I mean, they played the same shows.
Yeah.
Most all the time, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like No Reply would have bigger sing-alongs because like that's what their songs would lend themselves to. And then like, and then Life's Halt's just chaos, you know? Yeah. And I mean, I guess that would be like the closest to a local venue for Life's Halt at the time, because like there was Headline too, that I guess they'd be like equal distance away from where they lived. But Headline was always just kind of weird because like you're playing a record store where the lights are on. So like you don't want to fuck up the records and the lights are on so people don't get totally buck, you know? And, but yeah, Life's Halt, one of the greatest bands ever. Joe, what do you think of the song?
Well, the song rules. The bass intro is fucking phenomenal. It's super long for Life's Halt.
Yeah.
It's 2:20. 2 minutes, 20 seconds.
Yeah.
So I love this band. Tony and I drove down to see them somewhere because they recorded, they asked permission and recorded Oxnard.
They did Springfield.
But changed it to Springfield, right? Which was fucking phenomenal. And then they had a record for Tony, so we drove down. I think it was the PCH, I guess. That makes sense. But I only got to see them that once. But yeah, the song rules. They were a great band. I'm glad that you put them on here.
Yeah, super cool. Anything else on Life's Halt before we move on to Count Me Out?
I was looking up Life's Halt earlier because I couldn't remember who was in Life's Halt. And it says on this blog post that Life's Halt had 55 tracks.
55 what?
Songs, tracks.
Oh, yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Probably like 12 minutes of music.
Yeah, exactly. And most of them are comps or split.
Yeah. I'm in Discogs right now looking at that. So.
Yeah, they did a lot of comp songs, and the comp songs they did, like a lot of them were exclusive songs. Like we talked before about that. What was Graham's comp? The As the Sun Sets. Like that's one of my favorite.
That fucking song is so good.
Yeah, To the Heart. And then I on my Intense Energy comp, I got 2 Life's Halt songs, but they're both. Well, I think I got the live version To the Heart because I was like, I need that song on my label. And then there was one other song too. But they did a lot of comp songs.
And the No Reply song on Graham's comp is fucking amazing too.
I don't remember that one.
I Want Your Guts.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it was a demo and a 7-inch song too.
Yeah.
They just they gave him, here, take some old shit, dude.
Yeah.
But yeah, super cool. And so I'm trying to figure out where they all went. I can't remember the drummer's name, but you were saying
of what? No Reply?
Yeah.
Kevin.
Chaffee?
Kevin, yeah.
No, before
Chaffee?
that. The one from the 7-inch and shit. Anyway, whatever. I couldn't remember before when we talked about this. But Ernie lives in the Bay, right, Daniel? You see him sometimes?
Oh, see, you're talking about Life's Halt. I said No Reply.
Yeah. No, I'm talking Life's Halt. Sorry. But anyway, Ernie lives in the Bay. Felix lives in Seattle, I believe. And he actually did a really cool band. Everyone should check it out. It's called Big Crux. So he's still playing. I don't know if they're still around, but they got a couple records out. And like, I discovered him in the last few months. Someone was like, oh yeah, you know Felix did a band in Seattle called Big Crux. I was like, what the fuck? And went to Discogs and like The shit's affordable. Bought it. Love it. It's fucking rad. And but yeah, it was cool. Cool that at least Felix is still playing music. Someone's got to get Ernie.
No lives up here.
Yeah, Noel lives up there, and he still plays in Lecherous Gaze, right?
I think so.
Okay.
And he's
Still a band?
the front
I think
he's the
so.
front guy at Temple Tattoo.
Oh, cool. So go to Temple and say what up to Noel. Tell him 185 miles south sent you. What's up? All right. Moving on to a band that I know we all love. Count Me Out. Far From Close. And I always really resonated with the first record, the 110, because I think, when you think about like production and hardcore, there's a lot of records that people go to, and I think this should be one of them. Like, this record sounds so fucking ridiculously good. It's just out of this world. Like, I don't know, because Brian has produced a lot of good sounding records, but this one is just ridiculous. But then Daniel,
This and Give Blood are probably his best two, and the Battery. Some of the Battery stuff sounds really good, but this and Bane Give Blood are probably his 1-2 like greatest sounding recordings.
Yeah. So it's funny though, because like Dave was saying on the pod that a lot of people resonate with the second record more, and I had never heard that in my life. No,
it's an argument. It is an argument.
Okay, so
I would say more people like the second LP than the first.
I agree. I do not agree with that statement, but I agree with what you're saying, that people say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Same.
So
Same.
I never
I ride for the first one. Actually, I ride for both.
I never knew that. So that's why I'm bringing it up, is because Daniel, I think we talked about it before, and you're like, I love both of them. And I remember listening to the second one. I think we listened to it twice because maybe we had it on a tour, and I don't know why it didn't get put in rotation. But like, I just never really bothered with the second one. Maybe just because I love the first one so much. And I recently I saw Mandel, and he gave me the second LP because he did a repress. Dude, I fucking love it. Like, it is so good. I cannot believe that I slept on it for fucking 20 years. Like, I'm so mad at myself, Like, it's fucked up. Okay, so Kim, you sounded like this matters to you. So break down. Like, okay, first off, how do you see it? Like, what is the common take on one album versus the other, and then what is your take on it?
So mostly, especially, nerd of being on the Bridge 9 message board, it was always permanent. People loved permanent. And I've always been a 110 person. I even joked around when I was doing the pins more that I was going to do a pin that you could flip either way, 110 or permanent, and that you could show which one you love, but I couldn't make it look right.
Oh, I love that.
But 110 to me, Count Me Out to me, is one of my favorite bands. I'm sure you can tell by my enthusiasm about it.
Yeah.
Seeing them at Ojai, seeing them at Che, seeing them at Showcase, like Jason's voice and the songs are what made me love hardcore. Like, I got into Count Me Out and I was like, oh, holy shit. Like, I love 110. Permanent came out. I love Permanent, but I always love something that sounds a little dirtier. So 110 to me was not as polished as Permanent. So I loved 110 more. But I love Count Me Out. They're one of my top 10 bands for sure.
That rules. I never knew that so many people rode for the second one over the first one, because like, it's just sonically, that first one is like perfect sounding, in my opinion. And so, Joe, I want to go to you next. What did you think of the recording on this? This is a song off the first one.
Yeah. So the recording is phenomenal. It sounds amazing. What you said. I love the bass intro. The melodic guitar pieces that he does at the end are just fucking so cool. This has got a lot of that style that I like to play myself. So this song stuck out to me probably more than anything else on this entire list, but except the best song.
Yeah.
When we get to that later, but and maybe the Stay Gold stuff. We'll get to that stuff in a minute too, but yeah, it just sounds really good. It's a quality recording. It sounds like they spent money on it, even though they might not have. They just found somebody that knew what they were doing, like going to Roger or something.
It's Brian McTernan from Battery.
Yeah. So Daniel,
and they're a Richmond band, so there's a little bit of feel of other Richmond stuff within what they're doing.
Little Four Walls in there.
Little Four Walls, a little
Time flies because they share members.
A little gore in them. No, there's no gore in them, but but you know what I'm saying. It just has a hint of that root of Four Walls, especially, and that's a big deal to me because I absolutely love that band. It's probably one of the only people that I know that ever did care about that band. But I mean, here in Oxnard, but so.
Yeah, Daniel, before I send it back to you to talk about Count Me Out, Kim and Daniel as super fans, do you think that I chose a good song to represent them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because this is my favorite song. I call it the Blue Oyster Cult breakdown because I love how it cuts out because like Don't Fear the Reaper, it cuts out and it goes to that part that goes before the solo kicks. And that's what this song does. It they let it bleed out, and then the dude comes in. It's like and then they hit the youth crew on the toms, and it's like, oh my god! And then when the singing comes in, it's like this fucking emotional wave. It just I don't know. I fucking don't like melodic hardcore, but when people do it fucking perfectly, it might be the best music on the planet. Yeah. This song, when it cuts out and does that, and then when the singing comes in, it's just good God, is there anything better? I talk about it sometimes on the pod. I think that, me as a fan of hardcore music, I don't think that it's oh, this is a good song for hardcore. This is the music I ride for. This is my favorite music. And I just think that moments like that, it's fucking better than Led Zeppelin. It's not it's on a fucking different level or a different trajectory. It's no, in the history of music, this is one of the greatest moments,
Yeah.
I fucking love it so much. It does something to me that I cannot explain. And I guarantee you that a million people out there that are listening to bands that are considered classic bands, they don't get that feeling that a song like this gives me. And so I don't know, when some of these bands nail these parts or these songs, I don't think we have to be apologetic for loving hardcore. It's not an adjacent thing to other music. Many times it is the best music. So that's what's up, Anyway, Daniel, Count Me Out. What's up?
I'd have to say that this band never. I mean, they did become a bit popular near the end, Permanent. That's the thing that, you say a lot of people ride for the second one that you didn't know. What happened was Colin started drumming in American Nightmare, and I think it put Count Me Out on the map a little bit more nationally. And, that record came out and looked so cool at the same time too. But this is one of the for example, they did a reunion 3 years ago, and Kim and I both flew to the East Coast for it. I'm not doing that for hardly any band. Count Me Out the minute I heard Count Me Out was playing that, I bought a ticket and bought a plane ticket. Done.
Sick invite, bro.
What's that?
Sick invite, bro.
but then, like, so we toured with Count Me Out, and they are some of the most nicest and funniest people ever. Um, Andy Diehard will probably tell you as well, but our show, I booked the West Coast tour for Count Me Out and OMDB, and our show fell through in Oregon, I think, and Andy and Die Hard Youth were playing this thing called Eugene Fest. And I think I've mentioned it on the pod before, but it was like a total crust punk thing. And you know how people think they're funny? Like they put Count Me Out from Sweden. So the minute Mazzola, the singer, like Jason, saw that, the entire set, he was like, "Hello, we are Count Me Out from Stockholm. We love you. We love when you run in concentric circle. Let's go." And he kept the whole thing up the entire time. So the crowd really thought they were from Sweden and were really fucking with them because they're like, "Oh man, these guys came all the way from Sweden to play this backyard fest." And it was fucking great. And I'm not kidding. These are just as much in my top hardcore records. Both LPs are just as much in my top hardcore records as Unbroken or Used to Today or, you know, every upper echelon thing. Like, this is not like another tier of like, oh yeah, well these bands came later so they're not as good. No, this is just as good as any hardcore out there, if not better. Because there's no crap on the LPs. You know, every song is listenable and fantastic. And Jason's still straight
up. Yeah, and to do 2 LPs as a hardcore band and then not have clunkers, right? Like,
yeah, and
go ahead.
It's really interesting that you call it like, you know, kind of melodic hardcore, because it's not quite melodic hardcore. It's like urgent hardcore. Do you know what I mean? Like with melodic parts. I think his voice is so perfect to go over. Count Me Out sounds like a band that was raised on DC hardcore and Chain of Strength, but then doing their own like version. Do you know what I mean? And it's so aggressive.
Oh, I agree. I agree with you 100%. I'm more so referring to like the song I chose, which is like a more melodic song of theirs.
So. And on Permanent, they do mess with the melody and the octaves a little bit more than they do on 110.
Yeah, this might be one of the most underrated hardcore bands of all time.
I agree.
Yeah.
So everyone go check out Count Me Out, one of the great bands of any generation. Yeah, and then going right into like my other soft spot. I mean, I've talked about it on the pod many times, but good God, I love Faded Gray. I love this LP so fucking much. This is the title track of the LP, A Quiet Time in Desperation. I've also said on the pod, I love side B of this record more than side A. Like side B is, oh my God, it's one of my favorite pieces of hardcore ever. I love the entire LP. There's lots of fucking moments. This is my favorite record on Indecision. And it's hard for me to describe. I'm not the best at describing how things are sonically. Maybe we can shoot it to Joe to try to explain it a little better. But I just want to say, like, this is my favorite Indecision record. If people haven't heard it yet, please go listen to it. It is fucking amazing. And it's something that you guys should have in your collection. Joe, can you kind of explain?
So sincere.
What's that, Daniel?
And so sincere.
Right.
Very clever lyrics that are unbelievably sincere and next level. Really fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, it just oozes through. Joe, can you explain kind of sonically how this sounds to you?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's one of the most professional hardcore records I've heard, at least a song. And it when I say that, I just like everything is perfect, but not overly polished. If that makes sense.
Absolutely.
It still has the feeling of the raw energy still comes out through the music, but sonically, like you hear everything clearly. What my notes just say what a great song, because it's a freaking fantastic song. I love the way that it has that radio tone for the first few notes. As the song starts out, and then it comes in the full sound, like Ghost of War does. A little Slayer shout out. They sound nothing like Slayer, obviously. I'm just referencing that little trick, but his voice fits this music better than, I don't know, any of this sort of mid-tempo hardcore, any other band. I was blown away how good this sounded.
Yeah, not to jump in on you, Joe, but I was trying to figure that out before. Like, why do I love Lance's voice so much? Because he's a pretty monotone dude. In fact, we talked about Ensign before, and I would kind of put them vocally, sonically, they're kind of like the same. It's like that voice is like not hitting notes. It's very like, it's just a good hardcore voice, but nothing spectacular one way or the other.
He may be monotone, yeah, but he does fluctuate his overall volume, and that gives him that dynamic range. He's not hitting notes like you said, but he is hitting.
He's like enunciating,
quieting his voice and getting louder. So he has that dynamic going on.
And what Daniel was saying was he holds out like the last word, like I'm telling lies. Da ba da ba da ba da da. It's like the way he does that. It's like, oh my god, like, oh, it's so fucking good. Like, I can't believe it. But it felt so good because, like, when you're like looking for something, like, why do I like this and it does, and I don't like that, but they kind of sound the same. And then when Daniel nailed that, I was like, oh my god, you got it, dude. It was such like an epiphany. And it's just like, I fucking love the way Lance sings on this so much. And like over the top of what you would kind of call like melodic hardcore again. But they're just so creative. But like you said, Joe, it's like, it's a perfect sounding hardcore record, but there's something about it that like gives it that unpolished, raw feel. Yeah. It's because the dudes are punk as fuck. It's like, you can't hide the roots. Like when there's real fucking dudes playing real fucking music, like it is, like that's why it sounds like that. Like, I don't know. It sounds stupid to say it, but it's like, it feels like there's sincerity just oozing out of this record. Is my take on it.
I think a lot of the other punk and hardcore that was happening, because what year is this? 2000?
It's like 2001, 2002, 2000, something like that. It's in those 2 years, 2000 or 2002.
A lot of stuff that was coming out then was super polished and super watered down.
Yeah,
and
fair.
This doesn't feel that way. And I'm not trying to talk shit about other bands. That's just kind of what was happening at the time. So
yeah, we should shout out, this is a Paul Miner masterpiece.
Yeah.
So, Kim, how do you feel about Faded Gray in this song?
Oh, I love Faded Gray. I even went out in 2005 to the reunion they had in Vegas. I loved Faded Gray. I love this record. I haven't listened to it in a long time, so it was awesome to hear them again and remind myself why I loved them so much. And I think this is a great choice for a song from them. But they were such a fun isn't the right word. They were such a good band live.
Yeah.
And it was always, I was always pumped to see them when they played. I feel like they played out here quite a bit for being a Vegas band.
Did they cover 1 to 2? The Jack Nasty song?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there's your answer. Yeah, they did come out a fair amount, but from Vegas, it's like I don't know. Is the equal distance from Vegas to the Bay or to Southern California, Daniel?
It's it's pretty much
Yeah, I mean, it makes
Reno.
No.
Look, Reno is closer to the Bay, and Vegas is closer to SoCal.
yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
And so it makes sense for them to be coming down here though, because like through Indecision and so forth, like they had a lot of connections, And fuck, I was happy to see him every time. That's funny that you like.
They play the Women's Center. Sorry.
I do not know if they play the Women's Center. Do you remember, Daniel?
I don't think so. I think they
Okay.
played Chain Reaction almost every time. That's kind of that same, even though the Women's Center is so much further away, it's still that one block of like when a band would come out where they would,
Right. Yeah, I wanted to go into Kim looking for the right word, like saying fun and then backing off on it. That's interesting because yeah, it's like you want to say fun because you're trying to say, or I don't know, I'm trying to say that like I enjoy seeing a band, and so that's fun.
Right.
But it's like there's like I don't know, there can be like more to the experience where like they're obviously not a fun like a I don't know, it feels weird to describe them as fun, but I think it's fun or satisfying, or there's something that like tickles the soul to like feel like a connection with the emotions, right? So you come away with because when you come away with something feeling good, you think that thing was fun. I guess like I don't know, it's really hard.
I would say, like, I mean, we're going to talk about Over My Dead Body next, but seeing Over My Dead Body for me was fun. Like, seeing Faded Grey was awesome, and they were a great band, but it wasn't, the emotion that I had wasn't like, this is fun. It was like, that was a really good set, or they were awesome tonight, or yes, they played the songs I wanted to hear, but when I would see Over My Dead Body, it was fun, and it was like the environment and all the friends being there, and so that would be a word that I would use with Over My Dead Body and not Faded Grey.
Well, I think that it's interesting that you don't want to say fun. I think the thing that makes when you would see Faded Grey, why it would be kind of fun is because of I've said it before, but the overwhelming sincerity of someone a band who loves hardcore, and they're making it like you can see it, and it generates that same kind of enthusiasm within you. So it's not necessarily like outward fun, like where you're laughing, but it is a great feeling cultivated within you that the band was to produce. And the thing about Faded Grey, what makes them like so interesting is like those could all be Guitar Center dudes, like just noodling, like but they were able to take those immense skills and pair it into a very like amazing, emotionally charged hardcore. I really love the fact that even without Lance's vocals, which are incredible and lift it to the next level, but the music itself generates emotion with the dissonant chords going into very melodic parts and things like that. It really builds really cool soundscapes, like for hardcore songs.
Yeah, I would just say that if anyone else described a band as emotionally charged hardcore, I would never listen to it. But
well, because it only happens once in a blue moon where it's like real.
Hey, I know you, Daniel. So anything you recommend, I listen to. That's why I love those best record podcasts where you get to put out your like your non-hardcore one, because yeah, you got good taste, dude. It's one of the reasons why I like you.
Thank you.
So and now let's move on to Fillet Daniel Moore. Over My Dead Body, Be There. This fucking what a great band, Daniel. Good job. And
Yeah, good job, Daniel.
Good job.
good job. We love you. We know you. But we can objectively say that we love your band. And this is one of my favorite songs. Be There. I think like I love that it just busts right in. There's no fluff on here. Um, it's straightforward hardcore, but a little dabbling in the melody, lots of catchiness. Um, it just pulls off, with this in the theme song. I think the 1-2 punch, you pull off like what the band was setting out to do and what you guys are about. I think that it represents you guys well. But this is my favorite. I chose this one instead of the theme song. But everyone go listen to all the Overnighted Body stuff because, again, they didn't put out clunky shit. So check it out.
There's a few clunkers on the first LP. Not clunkers. Could have been developed more.
Yeah.
But
what do you consider the clunker other than the song where you shout out my band?
no, I don't think that's a clunker. That's a pop masterpiece.
What's the clunker then? It's hard to write a fucking LP, dude. Come on.
Yeah, especially when we're kind of being rushed into it.
Okay.
We should have taken time.
Do you want to elaborate on that?
LP,
Why do you feel like you were rushed into it?
It just was a thing that like we weren't practicing enough, and Dave was asking like, when you're gonna have the LP ready, and it was just the LP is also like a gateway to being able to do more tours and things like that. It was just one of those things where near the end, before recording it, it was kind of like, oh yeah, that song's good. It wasn't vetted. Like some of the other songs like that are on it that were a bit more vetted, I think are the ones that are more successful. Like Maggie and Ronnie or like The Real Cancer or To the Core, the pop one that you talk about. Like I think those are a bit more successful than I don't know, 96 and County, the one that Ephraim sings on and stuff. Like it, they just, I don't know, they just didn't have what makes you like a song like Be There, or you like a song off the 7-inch. But I really like the third record that Dave put out on CD and then Scott McGrath put out on LP. I think that has some of our best stuff ever on it. But I'll give you a couple little trivia things about Be There, since the song is on the playlist. There's a line in there that I wrote as like a line to just hold a place till I thought of something better. And it's on there, and I fucking hate it.
Okay, what is it?
If I say it, then everyone's going to hear it every time they listen to this song and go, oh yeah, that is really stupid.
It's just for the Patreons, dude. Come on.
Yeah, it's the part where I go, you are the definition of friendship and unity.
Oh, well, yeah.
I fucking...
So good.
Oh, I hate it. But anyway, it is what it is. And people feel it. Like when we play it, they're all fired up for it. And then when I saw you and you told me parts, and Rob's vocals obviously really add to that. That was one thing that made all of our kind of sing-alongy, catchier stuff like so able to translate, because Rob would sing like this higher octave vocal that would always be really catchy. But that is kind of a nod to / like homage to the Morrissey song Lost, which the lyrics are a touch similar and the melody is a touch similar but much slower. That's kind of our little like wink and a nod like part. So
well, now I can never listen to it ever again. Jesus.
Listen to Be There and then listen to Lost by Morrissey. It's okay to listen to because before he went crazy.
Just in case we put this episode out as another teaser to try to get people to sign up to Patreon, I gotta say, smash that Patreon button for that kind of shit. What's up?
Yep.
Yep.
Getting all that backstory.
Yeah. Kim, like, that's interesting you saying that you got into hardcore in 99. That's like right when Over My Dead Body's like starting to kick off. What, like, in your memory and in your opinion, like, is Over My Dead Body like the band in San Diego for like the next couple years?
Yeah. Overhead body shows were awesome. Like I said, when I think of fun, it's because of the friends that I started making around that time. Daniel and Rob and Tommy, like, were all so nice. And again, I was like young, and I was like, wait, a band can be my friends too? Like, this is my first time not going to huge shows, like big concerts, and like getting to be involved in a scene and be like, wait, people that are on a stage are actually people that want to be my friends. That's so crazy. And then being at a show felt so welcoming. I know Che is very special in its own right, but having like Over My Dead Body and the people in Over My Dead Body also be very welcoming was like another level of being like, I belong here. This is where I belong. And every time you'd see them, it'd be like the hecklers in front of Don and Chad, and like it'd just be like a fun environment of friends. And like Over My Dead Body is very special to me.
That
Daniel,
rules.
sorry.
That rules. Yeah, the hecklers. The hecklers were so crucial. San Diego used San Diego used to bring the heat. And I don't know what happened. Y'all got to step your game back up if we survive this COVID shit. You know, start writing your fucking lines right now, because San Diego used to really bring the heat, and y'all stopped fucking heckling. Bring it back.
Their heckles were the best. I mean, I was never the one on stage, but as another person in the crowd, it made you laugh. It just like, it was part of going to shows there. And, you know, I got to become friends with each of you. And then Tommy and I had a fun relationship because he was into New York hardcore and I loved New York hardcore. So as like a moving away present, he gave me an original District 9 shirt and original Sheer Terror shirt. So Tommy holds a special place in my heart because we'd always talk about like those bands that I felt like nobody really cared about at the time. I know later in life people became more into District 9 and Sheer Terror, but it was nice to have somebody in San Diego that like liked them as well.
Well, the great thing about Tommy that is he is one of the most underrated drummers. We talk about Jared Alexander being like an incredible drummer. Tommy, like, I know he drummed in Over My Dead Body, and when you listen to it, you can hear that there's actual like some really thoughtful, amazing drum parts, but it is straight ahead hardcore. But he can play anything, and he's in a great band with Gus up in Portland right now called Moonkisser.
Oh yeah, that's right.
People should check them out. And then Aaron from Over My Dead Body does Safe Inside Records with Bert. So there's other post OMDB things to check out for the Patreon and beyond.
Yeah, I love that. I just want to say one last thing on the heckles. Like, it added to like the realness of the Shay. Like how, you know, we talk about like, you know, the stage is like what, 8 inches. There's no sound except maybe miking the bass drum, and you got fools in the front row heckling you. Like, this is gonna fucking you gotta be a good band to do it and make it happen. You know, like, I love that shit. It's like, I don't know. It just I don't know. It just weeds out the bullshit.
Sometimes I would be speechless. Like, they would zing me so fucking hard that I would just be like, I don't have a comeback. Let's go into the next song, because I am just dumbfounded that I just got burned so hard, you know?
Yeah, and it like passed down to the next generation too, because two of the greatest hecklers after, like, you know, like how you mentioned Don and Chad, like Guzman and Vince turned into like two of the greatest hecklers of all time. So it's like this is like a San Diego tradition that was like passed down generations. Like it's something that needs a resurgence.
Well, all the plot to blow up the Eiffel Tower kids and stuff, like Brandon Welches and Brian, they were some of the most like unbelievable hecklers. Like they'd come at you on an intellectual level and just level you, and you'd be like, "Oh."
Well, those guys got to get in and retaliate. So what's up? Come bring the heat next time we play. I want to hear it.
Irish Cholo.
I was just gonna say the Cholo kids were definitely very relentless with their heckling.
Oh yeah, Gremlin and Audie in general, still to this day, he comes to a show, will just savage someone.
I love it.
But it won't even make sense. It'll just be loud and a looking.
That's great.
One thing that was really important for us, and I think it's something that we achieved really well, was we were about a certain thing, but we never turned our nose up to, we were a very straight edge band, but we never turned our nose up to anything. And it was important that punks, metal kids, hardcore kids, and everyone came to every show. And that's how San Diego was going to thrive. I think that's why Faded Grey was so, like, sincere about everything, because their scene was little as well. And, every kid had to go to every show to make the shows good. It's the same kind of thing, but San Diego really started to grow from 2000 to 2002 to be big shows.
Yeah, and Faded Grey, that was kind of wild too, because like those bands all sonically are very different. If you like compare Folsom to Faded Grey to Curl Up and Die, like that,
Yeah, exactly.
that was a wild scene with like some real rad dudes to like pull that one together.
Boba Fett Youth before him.
Yeah.
It's a really weird sounding hardcore band too.
All right, so we got to get the take. We got to get episode 1, the legend, Joe Rivas on Over My Dead Body. Let's hear it. All right, moving on to Stay Gold.
No way. So this recording is good. It's really good. It feels like you feel the energy. It's not a stale hardcore recording that is unfortunate. And I think Dave has been really good about that for most of the part. I mean, he's not recording them himself, but putting out stuff that sounds really good.
Well, I didn't put Ink and Control on here for that reason.
Well,
it's recorded the same place that the Ink Control first LPs.
Yeah, but there's something about what you guys did that it sounds really clean. Now, your vocals remind me, and don't take this wrong, but it's, in this particular song, they're really bratty sounding.
That's fair. I mean, it's more punk.
Yeah, that's what I'm going for. My notes here say Fat Mike, but that's not exactly.
He wants Johnny Rotten, not fucking Fat Mike.
I know, and that's what Fat Mike is trying to do too. That's what he's always tried to do. But
I wish I had a mouthful of drink so I could have just the biggest spit take ever.
Daniel just homered back into the bush.
I thought you'd think that's funny, so
yeah,
but,
and Mike Arney, he really plays the guitar like Noodles, and Tommy's
not in the band at this point.
Tommy's really bringing it. Okay, Tommy, yes, you're right. And then Tommy's
Barbarian Twins.
That's true. You got the Barbarian Twins, and Tommy's really bringing that smelly heat. But back to Joe.
But the most important part of all of it is that it's a unity feeling song, and we've talked about this till the cows come home, that we love unity songs and we don't have enough of them, so keep writing them.
Hell yeah. Love it, Joe.
So, I loved the song, Daniel. Thank you for being in the band.
Well, thank you for comparing me to Fat Mike.
Yeah. Oh fuck. Okay. Moving on to
be great to loop back to.
I'm gonna have to clip. I'm gonna clip that and put it as a fucking drop. Anytime Daniel gets out of line, I'm gonna fucking play the clip where Joe says he sounds like Fat Mike. All right, so Stay Gold, Another Time, Another Place. What a great band. What could have, like, was this band just like wrong time? Like, why were
Yeah.
they not the biggest fucking band? Kim, what do you think?
I think it's just wrong time. I think they were like few years too early.
A bit of that, and a bit of the band not willing to put forward the effort that would put them in people's ears a lot more.
True.
Maybe, but they were around and didn't like catch the fire. And like if they would have caught fire, then maybe everyone would have been on board with it. Like they were around long enough to get the popularity. And I can sympathize with band members that like don't want to toil, right? Like you guys want to go do a full US tour and play to 40 people? Like I don't know. You know, like it wasn't catching on like it should have. And the 7-inch on the first 7-inch that's on Anchor is great. The 7-inch on Indecision is fucking great, and the LP is like better than good, not great. I think.
Yeah.
What do you?
They really set the ground for like bands like Sinking Ships and things like Blue Monday to be acknowledged on a much wider spectrum. I think Stay Gold were that awesome platform that allowed those bands, the next generation, to go further afield.
Right. So is that the legacy? Like kind of how we talk about Adamantium, like they got like the showcase love and the local love, but they broke up and didn't get like the national glory like the Throwdown and 18 Visions did. You know, like
I don't know. Adamantium went on that tour with Bane and Death by Stereo, and it was like a tri-headlining tour. All three bands were the same size at the time. It was on Bane's rise, like post 2 7-inches, right when the first LP was about to come out. So Bane hadn't like gone to that crazy level yet. But Adamantium was pretty well liked for the genre of music that they did across the board. But you're right, like 18V and Throwdown like springboarded off them to go to very popular.
Right,
you know?
Right. So is that the Stay Gold legacy that they were able to like lay the groundwork for the other bands you mentioned?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, those bands came up and got influenced by Stay Gold, and then were able to go further afield. I just think, like you say, the Stay Gold is that weird chapter of like Kim just said, like you just said, like a year and a half too early, perhaps, like without touring often enough to have not been a year and a half too early. Do you know what I mean? If they did like 4 West Coast tours and 2 East Coast tours, it wouldn't have been a year and a half too early because they would have made it known like this was the great thing to be into.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I mean, who knows, right? Because that's the thing. Like, if Stay Gold is 2 years too early, if Stay Gold's not around, is it not 2 years too early? Like, it's only 2 years too early because they laid the groundwork for it. You know,
well, perhaps, but it's also if Stay Gold were friendly with Matt Pike at the time, maybe Stay Gold is a lot bigger than they were. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
So in the pod, Dave talked about the recording and how disappointed they all were with the overall recording. That I'm assuming they're talking about the LP.
It's the LP after this. This is a 7-inch, and so the LP Pills and Advice.
Pills and Advice, right? Yeah. Yeah. Then maybe I don't know because my notes, because I thought this was off the LP, this song. But you're absolutely right. Now I'm looking at it. I blew it.
Do you think that this recording is bad though?
I don't like the recording. The song is awesome, but the recording sounds just really weird. It's like the vocals are buried. The guitars are like really forward. The snare sounds really like pingy. Yeah, but the song itself was really really good.
Yeah, Kim, do you
Just
think?
overall, yeah,
Oh,
go.
sorry, go. Kim, do you think this band was hindered at all by like the recordings?
I don't think so. I feel like they were such a live band. Like when you saw them, uh, they were really awesome live. And Eagle, the drummer, super talented, and Chad's vocals were always pretty awesome. Uh, so I think that I love them live more than I love them recorded.
Yeah,
That makes
no, for sure, for sure. But you listen to the records enough that you wanted to see them live. So I'm
of
just saying,
course.
like the recordings aren't bad enough that it distracts you.
No,
Yeah,
personally, but
yeah,
I
like
probably
well,
listen to a lot of bad recordings.
yeah, that's true. I I don't think that this has never stood out to me as a bad recording. So I mean, but I'm not an aficionado on that stuff at all. The
Well,
LP
I
I
don't know
do
that I
remember.
am either.
Well,
But
I don't know. Well, you are now. You're the Sonic Dude of the pod. Um,
His opinion doesn't mean shit because he says I sound like Fat Mike.
that just added more credence to Joe being able to break it down properly to me. But yeah. So anyway, Stay Gold, rad band. Let's move on to The Promise.
I just want to say that Eagle Barber is one talented motherfucker. He also sang in another band called Hardesty. If you've never listened to that, it's really great. And he's also a very talented illustrator and graphic designer. We did a lot of pins together when I first started, and he's just such a talented person.
A very nice person too.
Yeah.
Yeah, did Hardesty overlap with this? Because they were kind of the same time, no?
I believe they overlap a little bit because I saw Stay Gold at least twice, and I saw Hardesty once. So I would have a hard time remembering if like Hardesty played a Stay Gold set,
Right.
but I think it was like a little bit of overlap.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
But he has a new band called Alpha Bronze. If anybody is big into seaweed, so if anybody wants to check them out, I highly recommend it.
Cool. Say the band name one more time. Alpha Bronze?
Yeah, Alpha Bronze.
Yeah, get it. Alpha Bronze. Check it out. Shout out Eagle. And fuck yeah. Shout out to Hawk from the Road Warriors. And okay, so The Promise. This was like a pretty rad band when it came out. Like I want to say like wasn't the demo just like 2 songs? It was like, oh fuck, like this is good. And the LP is good. I don't know if it lived up to like those 2 songs, but this song that I chose, the washed up song, like the way they do like the whatever type of fucking scale it is when you hit like every note or whatever, like this mosh part is the shit. I fucking love it. And Daniel, you wanted to talk about The Promise, so let's go to you.
This is maybe my second favorite band on Indecision. We're not counting Unbroken because they're god tier. I love it. The song "My True Love" like speaks to me so much. I love the darkness of the music with it not being overtly trying to be dark. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's got like a ugliness to it, but I don't know. It's not conventional. I really. It's hard to pin down their sound of being, like a heavy, straight ahead hardcore band, but I guess it's just the Syracuse tinge.
Right.
Without them being full metal, it's got a tinge. Coming off of their other band, Another Victim.
Yeah, but this is faster than Another Victim. This is them taking a step at a more traditional band.
Yeah, and I mean, I love Anderson's lyrics. I think they're really, really fantastically well written, like straight to the point hardcore, but with some real heart and some real thought. And then, Jim Winters is a hell of a guitar player, and then Busky is just an amazing bass player and has like some of the best jumps and Nike Air Maxes known to man. So, props to the Promise. I fucking love them.
Joe, what did you think about this?
Well, I was trying to pull up these lyrics real quick. I love the listening to it. It sounds really good. Sonically, it's a solid sounding song. The song itself is great, but I absolutely love these lyrics. Old guy talking shit about new kids, sorta.
Yep, I love the sentiment as well.
Yeah.
Even though, no, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just, it harkens to like All Ages Show, the Deck Nasty song All Ages Show, but from the perspective of the guy that Peter's singing about instead of vice versa.
Yeah, I love the sentiment, but then also like I love the other end of it. Like I remember one time, Greg Take Offense was on the pod and he was like, "Yeah, there's a lot of kids these days that like they don't want to listen to any band that has like a guy in the band over 26 or some shit." And I was like, "Fuck, I kind of respect that too." Like that's not offensive to me as a 40-year-old. Like that's kind of rad. Also, like just anyone that has like a ridiculous stance like that is pretty. I don't know.
Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah.
There's a place for it. Like, fuck it. Be opinionated. Who cares? Your mind will change a little bit at some point.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. That's a cool perspective. Like,
because you're going to be 27 pretty soon.
Exactly. So. If you stick around, and it's like, yeah. And if you don't stick around, then we're going to sing the song about you,
Yep.
But yeah. Kim, how do you feel about this band?
I thought The Promise was really cool. Then they have a like on the opening of the record, it just said "fuck you." Like
I think
they're.
I can't remember.
Yeah, first line is "fuck you."
Right.
That's right. Yeah.
And I was trying to remember, Daniel. Do you remember? Didn't their van blow up after a show after Che or
after Che?
On the way after
Che? Right. They were driving away from it to Arizona, and their van burned up with their entire money that they'd made on the tour, as well as all their clothes and everything.
Oh my God. Yeah. I totally remember that. So that was actually Matt Pike saved our ass. Like in Gatrol, it was the 4th US tour we did, and I had like the Southwest like kind of booked, like half booked and mapped out. And then there was this like, because of course like our idea too was like, oh, first show will be Shea Fest or whatever. And then it was like, oh,
or whatever. Respect on
no. I mean, like it makes sense for like the
start. Call him out.
Okay, it makes sense for the start of a tour, right? Like, let's start San Diego, because we're either going to do San Diego for like first or second show, or second to last or last show of the tour. So it's like, okay, let's kick it off with Shea Fest. Well, the problem with doing that is the other bands that are there, they're going to be doing a route too. So Bane was on tour with The Promise, and they had a bunch of like, they had to play Dallas like the same night I was trying to book Dallas. Well, that was fucked, right? Like, what am I going to do? And so I called Matt Pike and talked to him, and I've talked about this on the pod before, so I'll keep it short.
Maybe 11 times, maybe 12.
Yeah, well, anyway, so we played a bunch of these shows, but I totally fucking forgot about that Promise story, because I do remember like that entire, I think we played Tucson with them, Houston, Dallas, and then we played Atlanta. And we broke off like on the other shows. Like we went and played Alabama when they played somewhere else, and like whatever the fuck ever. But I do remember that being a thing. Like every night we're like, yo, everyone like try to go buy like a Promise shirt, because like literally they lost everything. Like,
right.
Yeah, like all their merch, all their records, like maybe their equipment. I can't even fucking remember, but like
their
were
equipment.
Fucked.
They had to borrow clothes from Bane to play the next night.
Yeah, that's fucked. Yeah, and that was we played Tucson. Yeah, it was Promise and Comeback Kid and Bane. So that was wild. Anyway, Fuck, that was a weird memory flashback. Ugh, it's weird all the things you forget. But okay. Anything else on the
I think
promise?
it's weird to think the minor things I remember. I forgot the rest of the story. I just remembered that part.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a huge part. Daniel?
The artwork to this record is really cool, and the name of the album, Believer, it's just so cool. Like, I think the graphic design on the layout is fantastic, and I can't stress enough, like, read the lyrics to anyone who's going to check The Promise out for the first time. I think they're really well written hardcore songs.
Yeah. I mean, they came out with like that feeling of seriousness, which is like something like, I love when people are like unapologetic for loving hardcore, and they definitely did that. So it's super cool. I just put Retaliate on here for fun because I love my band. And so, and yeah. And
is this your favorite song, or you did this because you thought it would be everybody else's favorite song?
Oh, it's like kind of like if you would say that we have hits, it's like one of the hits. So like,
but is it your favorite song?
Oh no, my favorite song is our new record that's coming out in November on Indecision Records. So pre-order that when it comes up. But no, yeah, it's one of my favorite songs because it's like
hardcore reality.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm walking the line here of one thing I like to do is like be halfway ridiculous, and like this falls in with that. So yeah, I love this song, but yeah, that's Retaliate, and it's just I didn't put In Control on here, but Dave also did my band Retaliate. He did the first record, the second record, skipped on the third record and blew it because that was our best record until the one that we're doing this year, which is back on Indecision, and it's just called 4 for our fourth LP. And yeah, get that when it happens. I love it, and I'm so happy to be back where we belong on Indecision Records, and that's Retaliate. And then I put these next songs on here.
You're not skipping this.
No, I have no intention of talking about this. I want to talk about that Dave. It was really cool. Let's talk a little bit about the pod. Like,
hold on.
No. Let's
that Mike got stuff to say right now.
Okay. Well,
I just want to say this is the very first time I've ever heard Retaliate, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Well, thank you. No, I mean, I said that Dave skipped on the third LP, and I want to like elaborate on that too because it's part of the pod. So Dave, he was doing like the label full time, and then he was way into MMA, like real early, and as a hobby, he was like taking photos and so forth. And he worked for different smaller websites. I can't remember the first one that he worked for before MMA Fighting. He was like a local guy out of Orange County. And then he worked for MMA Fighting, then went on to Sherdog. And he's still involved. Like, you know, a few weeks ago, he went out and like shot an Invicta show. So it's still his career. But at this time, like MMA blew up in the late 2000s, and he was literally gone every weekend. And it had to be so weird being like a dude into hardcore for your like entire teenage and adult life, you know, where you go to shows on the weekend or you're just involved. Like, I mean, Dave's as involved in hardcore as you could possibly be. And then now you're gone every weekend because, like, you know, you got to probably fly out on Wednesday or Thursday because you got the weigh-ins on Friday for the fights on Saturday. And then you're doing interviews like, you know, till 4 a.m. after the fights, and then fly out sometime Sunday, you know, get your shit back together on Monday, and then fly out and do it again like the next Wednesday or Thursday. Like, that's so wild. Like, and so you just can't, like, I don't know, your life is just totally different. Like, I can't imagine living that lifestyle. It's like a different type of, you know, we talk about bands getting in vans and doing a touring lifestyle. Like, that's a weird, crazy lifestyle too. And so, you know, for a while, Indecision wasn't popping like it used to be. And now he's doing a lot of newer stuff. And that's why I put these next 3 songs on there: The Bayonet, Rod of Correction, and Power Alone. These are 3 of the newer bands that put out stuff on his record. And I'm leaning, putting Bayonet on San Diego, Rod of Correction, San Diego. I just think they're super cool. Like Bayonet bringing the fucking heat, And then Rod of Correction, like people know Greg from the pod doing Take Offense. This is his other band with Colin that runs Standards Records and has done and sings for Crime Desire. Like has done a bunch of shit. This is their other band, super cool and riffy. And then Power Alone. Daniel's usually the guy that talks about like artwork, but like I love this cover. Like it's fucking rad. The art's rad, and this band fucking rips. So Dave's doing a lot of super cool shit still. These are 3 of the bands that I chose for you to check out. But really, go to indecisionrecords.com, see what he's doing, check out the shit, and buy it and order it. But yeah, let's. Did you guys listen to these 3 songs, and what do you think about them?
I did. I love Bayonet. I'm a big fan of Mike and Jimmy and the bands that they've done in the past. Math Brass, and it's awesome to see Mike singing in a band, and he's one of the best people that I've ever met through hardcore. So just somebody that I always go to when I'm like, hey, tell me some new bands to listen to, because I'm not as involved as I once was, and he always directs me into bands that he knows that I should be checking out for one, but he knows that I will like immediately, and so I love that about him as a hardcore enthusiast. But Bayonet is awesome.
Yeah, low key MVP, Modern Mike, Monday Night Pokey Night, and when I like joined Instagram, whenever the fuck that was, like years ago, like he was like one of the first people I followed, and I loved his cat, like the cat that fucking watches the waffle, and like literally like sadly that cat like passed away like I don't know, a couple months ago, and like literally it's like the only other animal that wasn't mine that I fucking cried about. Like it was literally like sad, like the fucking waffle cat died. Like that's not fair. Like first fucking Kobe has to die, then fucking COVID, and now Waffle Cat. Like that's fucked. Like it really hit me in a weird way. What's that? Papa.
Name's Nick Papa Giorgio.
All right. Hey, Daniel, see, put some respect on his name and fucking know the whole name. But yeah, like, I don't know. It was just fucked up. You know, like this year is fucked. Like everyone's feeling it in some weird way or another. And it's like, I don't know. That was just like one of those fucking things. Like, why did I get triggered by someone else's animal passing away? Like, what pleasure did this fucking animal give me? Like, it was like the thing I wanted to see on Instagram. Like, I want to see fucking Mike's cat looking at a waffle, you know? And it's like, oh, great. One more fucking thing is wrong this year. And like, it just hit me in a weird way. And like, I don't know. I toss it out there because I think a lot of people are having hard times this year. And it's weird little things that trigger emotion. And so just want to say like,
because you've got empathy for Mike, and you know Mike and Mandy are amazing people, and they lost their little one, you know, as well as you enjoying him on Instagram. Like it's also like your friends lost their little baby, you know.
Yeah, but I'm not as close to him as you and Kim are. So it was like weird to like, I don't know. Anyway, I just think that like people out there that get triggered by weird reasons this year and feel emotional over stuff, you're not alone. People are there like feeling the same shit. That's all.
I know I'm really triggered when everyone tries to make me wear a mask.
Fuck.
JK, I'm not Fat Karen.
Yeah.
Fat Mike.
Oh God, Joe with it. Okay.
God, I'm so sorry, Daniel.
That's fucked up.
I didn't mean it like that.
You better keep talking to Jesus. One thing I love the Run of Correction. I mean, I love Bayonet. I love the fact that they are like Infest meets Mosh Parts. You know, like they're fucking great. And
No Mercy Hardcore is what I have. The note I have.
Yeah, and I love that the sample runs through the whole record of the oh god, I can't remember what Japanese film that they're sampling now off the top of my head, but it really ties the whole thing together. It's like a very well thought out thing. Super cool. But Rod of Correction also so fucking rad. Like such like God, it's like crossover, but then it's swaggy, like bouncy stuff too. And I mean, the funniest clip of it's probably 2018 now, but you know, bands do mosh call outs, and Colin did one where it's right before a mosh party. He goes, "You want that shoegaze shit? Go the fuck to the cat spot." And then the fucking mosh part comes in. I may have misquoted it, like it was even better than I quoted it, but I watched that clip back like maybe 30 times. I was just like, this is the greatest. I even like, I think I DM'd him just saying, man, that's the best mosh call out I think I've seen in years.
Yeah,
and I want that shoegaze shit, so he was talking to me.
You know, it's like it was the greatest crowd costumes. Give me some reggae.
Yeah.
Scream for me, Long Beach.
Oh,
Power Alone.
That's the goat.
What a cool, like, I won't say retro sound, but like channeling the sound of the 90s with very, I don't know, really good, effective, and very smart, great lyrics also.
Yeah. For them, I have. You're talking Power Alone, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I have. Fucking delivery. It just
Joe,
seems pure.
You cut for 1 second. Just say again what you had on Power Alone, please.
I said, what a great fucking delivery.
Yeah.
You know, it captures that essence of, you know, like what Daniel was saying, like that old, I say old time. God, I'm old. It just captures that old hardcore, but freshly done. I don't know how to explain that. Yeah. And Rod of Correction is one of the last bands that I've seen live. You know, because when you came up for the Hong Kong End show, Zach.
Yeah.
When they played that, I think that's the last show I went to before shutdown. So
when did Shutdown play?
No.
Well, they played Showcase and played New York Crew, and I wigged out and blasted the singer off the stage.
Yeah, I know.
This was my first time hearing Rod of Correction or Power Alone because, like I said, I'm not as in touch as I once was, but I've always loved Colin. He is such a character in his own right. We met at Lose Records, and I remember he had a Motorhead black flag tattoo on his upper arm. He's always had eclectic taste and such a fun person to talk to about music, and so I was excited to learn that this was his band and hear it for the first time. I thought it was awesome. And then Power Alone, I didn't realize that they were people from Gather. So I really liked the sound, and her vocals I thought were awesome. So it was cool to listen to some new music.
Yeah, Daniel's got to get that LP so he can wax poetic on the layout.
Yeah, I do. I do have to get that.
Yeah, man. So yeah, that's what I put together for Indecision, and I mean, Dave is the fucking man, and his catalog is so great, brings back so many good memories. Still putting out shit I love, and then the last two songs on the playlist are just an ode to him. With we talked a little bit about the Pride Fighting Championship in Japan. So that's the main theme. This is a song I used to like when I used to have a Civic. I would have I went and got like the Pro Stereo with like the big bass bumper in the back, and I used to like play this song and shit, and it would like get me so hyped. I loved it. And then Sandstorm is just there because that was Vanderlei Silva's interest music, and we talked a little bit about the Vanderlei Chuck fight. So that's all. And
also it ties in because Bayonet, they ride for Sandstorm.
Oh, I think that everyone that like if people haven't heard it yet, I'm sure you have. It's a popular song, but
I play it with music ever.
oh, you played on Worst Music Ever?
Yeah, but I mean, there's elements of worst music ever that are just guilty pleasures.
Okay, I love this song, and yeah, this song, like, I talk about a song to get you hyped. Like, man, this song is a shit. But I mean, partially that's like, you know, I think about Vandalay entering, just like I hear like the time to say goodbye. I think it's like Bocelli and Sarah Brightman. You know, I hear like time to say goodbye. Like I think like, oh, okay, that's Akiyama's interest music. You know, it's like part of the reason why I love it. Or like
how hyped do you get when you hear I am a real American?
well, hyped enough that I could slam Andre the Giant, dude, at WrestleMania 3 in front of 93,000 fans at the Pontiac Silverdome. But yeah. Anyway, man, this pod was fucking. I had a lot of fun doing it.
I'm so glad you did it, and it cannot be overstated that Dave Mandel is one of the most important pillars of Southern California hardcore.
Agreed.
Like, he's been there for everyone. If you needed something like him, and I want to stress that Dave Ito, as part of the Indecision family, is also there. Like, OMDB toured. Ito was our roadie with Matt Thomas. Our van breaks down in New York. It's one we rented. We weren't supposed to take it out of California, of course. It breaks down on the Brooklyn Bridge. We're completely going 2 miles an hour while getting a million like, oh, get out of here, forget about it. Like everyone passing us, yelling at us. And Ito and Matt Thomas broke off from the tour, went and took the van to be repaired at the dealership because luckily it was under the 30,000 mile warranty. So we had a loophole. Stayed with Mackenzie and stuff in New Jersey, hung out, and then drove it. So they missed like 9 days of a tour just so the band could continue. That's just like the kind of people that Dave Ito and Dave Mandel are. Like, they'll, throw themselves in front of traffic for you. Like, amazing people.
On a second that Dave Ito is one of the best people. And I've only gotten to know Dave Mandel in the last few years. Talked to him more at the Count Me Out shows. Obviously seen him around for a long time, but I was doing other things. And he's such a nice guy. And like I said, I love Indecision, and it's awesome to hear him talking. And I feel like we left off a few bands, like Voorhees you talk about a little bit. I loved Voorhees, Kill Your Idol split. I know you guys talked about that, but I was hoping they'd be on this playlist.
And the layout is so cool as well.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Split.
And then I liked Welcome to Your Life. I had a t-shirt. I think it was Johnny the Homicidal Maniac t-shirt. I might still have it. But I think Indecision's one of the greatest labels in hardcore, so it's awesome to do this.
Yeah, I got the tattoo. So what's up?
I got a couple things. I remembered that I had notes about the pod itself too, so I just want to throw these things out there real quick. We actually talked. You and Andrew talk about this too. Another perspective of the dark years from the late 80s to the early 90s. Dave said something that was something that I've been trying to formulate in my mind that I just couldn't figure out. He just talks about how those years filtered out all the bandwagoners, and that, I don't know, that just made a lot of sense to me.
I definitely agree.
But he talks about it from a journalistic point of view because he did the zine and all that other stuff at the time. So he finds where I'm talking about it from perspective of somebody in a band, So I just appreciated a different point of view. And then the one other thing I wanted to say is, Dave was talking about he left shows, only going like on a random Tuesday or something like that. He sort of described it like that, and then came back, and then how great it is to come back and still feel comfortable, even if you don't know anybody in the venue, because that's what hardcore is all about. So that made me feel really happy too.
Yeah, I think that's like one of the the great things about hardcore, right? Like,
yeah,
that it is like, it's, especially nowadays, I think it's more welcoming maybe than it's ever been. Like the cliques have basically been more so broken down, and yeah, I mean, I think that was a heartwarming moment too. So I love both those things you brought up, Joe. Yeah. I think we can leave it there. I mean, we went over 2 hours on a Patreon pod, so
good.
Trying to keep these a little bit shorter, but I don't know. With something like Indecision, we gotta go. And like Kim said, we left so much shit out. But yeah, I just try to make a playlist for maybe people that aren't super familiar with the label. You can go through and just see like the dearth of stuff that's on there. And I'm sorry for putting the best song first. It's all downhill from Collateral Damage, but fuck, they set a high ass bar. You tell me to. Love it. So, but yeah,
Can't believe you got outed as hating the Suicide File.
Why, dude? It's in the playlist.
No, I'm joking.
And Suicide File is one of my favorite bands ever.
You also hate retrospective DVDs.
I know, another one I fucked up. Hey, you guys know, and everyone that comes on the pod knows. Like, inevitably, like Kim, I don't think you did it, but I think everyone else, like the first time they're on, they'll like text me right after, like, "Hey, I said this wrong. Like, can we edit it?" I'm like, "Nope." Like, I plan shit out and still miss shit and have to take my lumps. Like, if you said the wrong song from the wrong band, like, sorry. Like, no edits, dude.
Yeah.
So,
well, good job on Zach, and it was a great listen, and I'm very glad that Dave's finally been well represented.
Yeah, Andy would like Ill Communication to come out on Indecision, so if we can have Dave do that, that'd be great.
Well,
go ahead, Kim. You're the A&R.
Mike was texting with Andy earlier and told him I was doing the pod, and he says hello, but he also said, "Hey, plug Ill Communication. Ask Dave to do it."
You know what? All he has to do is hit Dave up, and then if Dave has time and space, and the record is great, but I don't know what. I mean, I know he's got like 6 projects on the burner right now, but there's no harm in trying.
I also don't know if you want to be the record that comes out right after the new Retaliate, because you're fucked.
True.
That's like being just outside the Age of Quarrel album cover,
Fuck. Yeah, there's lots of love for Bedge on this pod, but I'll tell you a wanting to get on Indecision story, because I think when they did that CD, that Skate Punks, that one never came out on vinyl, and it's so fucking funny. Sorry, Bedge. I'm sorry for this, but if you look at the liner notes on that CD, he thanks like either Dave or Indecision Records, and in parentheses it says "next time." And so that he brought it to Dave, and Dave's like, "Yeah, dude, maybe next time."
Ouch. Hey, that Skate Punks though, so good you make him play it twice.
Yeah, I know. If Dave would have heard Skate Punks, it probably would have been a yes. But until then,
or if I just rode as hard for Fields of Fire as I did for IC.
Yeah.
I could have been hard them.
Maybe.
IC is who I would ride to the end of the earth for, so.
Well, I appreciate that, Daniel.
Crash and burn.
Yeah, that's what we did. And I appreciate all you guys. I think you all did a great job. Man, I love this group. I think everyone comes with like a little bit different perspective, but we meet in the middle. And so
some people have some real wild perspectives out there.
All right.
Yeah, shout out Linoleum.
Linoleum.
Daniel, can you sing Linoleum for us as we end this pod?
That's me.
All right, thanks guys.